Hey, what up, you guys? He's Kevin Bird. I'm Willie B, and this is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. Fired up tonight, man, because tonight we're talking SEMA. And I know, Kevin, you and I, we absolutely love SEMA. It's one of those things you got to experience SEMA in so many different, unique ways. You got to record a show there. You got to debut a car there. You got to just show everybody in TV world a little bit of the inside and out of SEMA. Man, seeing all those different ways and views of SEMA, was this year unbelievable or what, man? Wow.
Every year it knocks my socks off. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter how many Super Bowls you've seen, man. You want your cold beverage, you want your snacks, you want your friends around, and you want to watch a big game, and that's what SEMA's all about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it really is. This year, more than ever, you really just see this huge escalation. And just there used to be a time when a guy in a garage could build a car that would garnish a lot of attention at SEMA. But those days are long gone, brother. Let me tell you, it takes an unbelievable budget, you guys. Like just talking to the Ring brothers, we've done it now for years. You wouldn't believe it where some of their budgets begin.
Yeah.
And we're talking into the millions. So it's really gone from the guy in the garage to elite teams, crazy craftsmanship, unbelievable technology. And we saw a lot of that technology in the means of downforce and aero packages this year, really above and beyond any year I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, there's always some trends, and we're latching on to what do we see on the outside world, what are we going to put on our cars, and it's always something new and interesting. And we've talked forever, right? Obviously, there was the whole engine swapping forever, the LS, the world. Then that kind of drove a lot more power and big fenders and flares and bigger tires and lots of different, vehicle architectures. And like you said, now, it's that performance thing that many of us are always honing in on. And so, once you've got 800, 1,000, 1,500 horsepower plus, you got to figure out how to put it on the ground. And so, as you mentioned, this year, right, you're starting to see quite a bit more aero, right, downforce, or at least the attempt on a topic that's a lot of voodoo, Hey, there's a lot of magic in aero.
Is a wild, aggressive approach to it. And we're going to highlight some of that here in just a second. But on the other side of the break, a special treat for you. Because the mothership of hot rodding, as most people would tell you, is a 57 Chevy. And, man, we talked to some great people, an unbelievable build for a spectacular cause. And it's all based around a 57 Chevy, unlike any 57 Chevy in the world. And you got to think what a statement that is, because so many people have done so many iterations on it.
Yeah.
You think it's all been done, but not like this. And we got to speak with them firsthand. So hang on through the break, some big surprises, and a look at the aero that was delivered at SEMA this year in ways that will kind of twist your nugget a little bit. That's on the way. It's the Two Guys Garage Podcast. Kevin Bird, Willie B. And we're back after the break. All right, man, he's Kevin Bird. I'm Willie B. This is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. And, man, we have such a cool, SEMA's one of those shows you got to get to. It's just a bucket list type event. But this year, as in every year, you'll see something stand out. You'll see something that will knock your socks off, and it's across the board. You saw a little hint of it here and there last year, maybe the year before. But what exploded, in your opinion, Kevin, and was really evident across the board? I know you talked to Mike DeSold about it and several other people. What stuck out SEMA 2024?
Well, there were a few flags that I'm thinking it'd be interesting to see what next year brings, like as things expand, right? So a couple of guys show up with some really nice aero. Mike DeSold, right, as you mentioned, DeSold Design. He's got a full-blown Camaro. It's a street car, but barely, because he's really gotten into time attack and other events where, man, aerodynamics on time attack cars, it's big. Yeah. Sometimes awkwardly big, but that's how you win, right? You get all that downforce. And, we've accomplished so many things in the hot rod world over the last 10 years, right? From big tire, good compounds, big brakes. We've got flares. We've got room for those big tires. We've got chassis. We've got huge power, 1,000, 2,000 horsepower. So what's left? We've conquered it all, so now it's kind of dive into the aero. And, a lot of guys that are kind of dabbling in some of these other sports like time attack, right, are starting to bring it over. And then everybody else goes, hey, I got to have that on my ride. So,
well, it's it's safe to say, the performance numbers out in the last 5 to 6 years have really forced aero into the conversation, because before you could plan all the power and, for most people, they were never overpowering every surface they went to, whereas nowadays it is easy to overpower every surface. So how do you get the bite stick and, be the killer as far as ETs go and in track times? Well, that's aero, man. Aero's the next wave in innovation. And wow, did you see it in true form this year on the floor at SEMA and outdoors at SEMA. I mean, we saw it in several applications, and they were wild and mild, man.
No doubt. Now, you saw firsthand maybe a new trend, right? Something completely wild, something completely new, man. Give us a little insights on, this conversation coming up.
I grew up around a 57 Chevy. My first memory is my dad racing his 57 Chevy at the drag strip against another 57 Chevy. One of them rolled, all right? I didn't thank God it wasn't my dad. But this is my very first memory in life, right? A 57 Chevy. A 57 Chevy that I now have in my shop behind my house. To me, and to so many people across the board, that car, because it changed how people looked at cars, I think that was really the mothership of hot rodding. Like, when you think of a true hot rod, man, a 57 Chevy, it's iconic, it's mean. We've seen so many iterations, bro. We've seen them LS swapped and blown. We've seen all kinds of different transplants, engines. We have never seen what we witnessed this year from the CRC camp. And it's awesome. We work hand in hand with CRC so often. And when I rode up to the booth, one of my buddies, I've done several shows in the past with Millican. He's just one of the fastest and most lovable dudes in the world. He really is. He's done, top fuel racing, like unbelievable. He's won so many Wallies, and, he's just a country cat from Tennessee, man, who loves banging gears. And dude, he is just one of the best people you'll ever meet. Jeff Lutz in the mix as well. He's a longtime friend. And, I love these guys, and being able to sit down and talk about a hydrogen powered 57 Chevy is mind blowing. And the reason, right, you might have recalled last year we teamed up with them when they had that GTO for Tech Force. Tech Force helps people in the trade industry, like kids that are looking to go into the trade schools. It helps them find scholarships. And you and I feel confident in trades being the next wave of, great careers, financial, strong moves to make in career paths that really have a robust, rich future ahead of them that won't, again, be taken over and dominated by AI. That's something hands-on. And, you got to make on-the-fly decisions. It is tough, right? Well, this is, I think, really going to be one of those things where, as somebody in the trade school, you're going to have a great opportunity with Tech Force to get scholarships, to get discounts, and CRC has put it all together. So without further ado, man, let's get into this crazy build. Something to note, it's a Builder 57 Chevy. They're looking for a Builder 57 Chevy. Keep in mind what you and I would pay for a Builder 57 Chevy. I'll tell you in the third block what they paid for that one. But it was worth it when you'll hear the conversation, because wow, what a car. Hey, welcome to it, Two Guys Garage Podcast. Now, here at SEMA, man, we got a couple special guests for some big news, big announcement, and something I think you guys are really gonna love. So I got Clay Millican, I got Jeff Lutz, and I got Raquel here, all from CRC. And I gotta tell you, this is something that is really cool, because we oftentimes talk and speak about who's the next generation of racers. Clay here, he may look like he's a little bit older. He's in his upper 20s. Jeff just turned 35. I don't know if Kel's over, 18. So look, who is that next generation? Who's it gonna be? Well, these guys are inviting that next generation in, right? Not just inviting them in, but getting them help as far as, that education they need to really succeed out there in the field and in the industry. And let's talk about that a little bit. Really, Clay, I want to ask you first, man, as a guy that grew up in this, right, has seen all this technology and all this, new racing. Remember the days of 1,000 horsepower? You're king of the mountain, bro. It was awesome. Nowadays, man, you look at this technology, where it's going, who's going to be the next technicians or the next, you think about everything that they're doing, not just, working on cars, but electricians, technicians, HVAC people, tradespeople, right? And oftentimes say dirty hands, clean money, baby. That's how it is, right? So when you think about that, who is the next generation? What are you guys doing to invite them into the fold?
Well, we're 100% here doing these car projects we've done the last couple of years because of CRC putting together a program with Tech Force Foundation to provide some scholarships to young people that do want to work with their hands. And I think kids are starting to figure out that four-year college does not mean guaranteed money.
No, it doesn't.
Tech
That's
school,
the facade. I think that's the thing you mentioned, because for a long time we were told, right, you go to college, you're going to be successful. Well, that's not really the case. A lot of times, you know, you go through a four-year college, it ends up being a six-year college program, right? And you're left with just strapped with an insurmountable amount of money you owe, but you're not out there making enough money to just recoup what you lost just paying for school. So how do you get ahead? And the trades have been something that have been sitting there, kind of flying under the radar. But at the same time, man, there's a lot of money and great career paths in those industries.
It's massive amounts of money. There is a lot of kids that I know that are at dealerships, you name it. I got some friends that are very young in the HVAC world. They are making more money than some, people that did the traditional.
With business degrees.
With business degrees. And it's, they're out there getting their hands dirty, but they're loving it. And the truth is, they're doing what they want to do. There's a lot of four-year college kids. They did it because they felt like they had to, and it wasn't their passion. And that's the beautiful thing about people that work with their hands. They don't necessarily have to stick with that one trade, because once you figure out how to use these things, you can do anything.
And this is what's interesting. So when you think about some of these racers and people that they're just right here. Jeff, for example, he used to lay brick, right? Dude was just laying brick, and all of a sudden, street racer, I going a little faster, take my money I earned doing a couple little extra hard work, put in my 40, 50, 60 hours a week to upgrade my car, right? And all of a sudden, he's succeeding in the car world business, and all of a sudden, he gets on a couple shows, and everybody knows Jeff Lutz, man. That's the guy with all the Tri-5 Chevys, making unbelievable ET times, making everybody, in top fuel cars upset. And it's amazing to see where you can go, right? I oftentimes say hard work and good luck. They run pretty hand in hand.
Hard work pays off.
And it does. It pays off. And you're a perfect, representative of that and what that can do, just working with your hands.
And you and I were talking earlier that like a lot of shop classes at school are gone. I mean, the kids have unless they get a job at go into a garage and want to do it, the scholarships with CRC and Tech Force is just, like I said before, we got to auction that GTO off, and if you see the kids' faces that the scholarships go to, it's life-changing for them, and it's pretty awesome. Yeah, man.
So, Raquel, let's talk a little bit about what this program has done for so many people. He mentioned this before. When you see a kid get, a scholarship for them, let's look at these kids. What are they doing? How are they gonna pay for it? Either a burden on the parents, right? Either like they got to take out a school loan. Nobody wants to be strapped with that. But you're providing help and a reassurance and that security that what they're doing, the position they're going for, is right. And it feels right, and they get a little help from you guys. So explain a little bit about the program.
So we started the program in 2023. It's called Build for the Future Scholarship Program. And we basically had the idea that we wanted to do a car build and have these amazing guys here that have been working with CRC for years and fans of our products to demonstrate through their social media the whole build process and show kids how cool and interesting and fun it can be to have a job in the trades. And then in the end, we auction off the car, and then all the proceeds from the sale go to Tech Force, who then doles out the scholarships to at least 10 kids. The more the car goes for, the more scholarships we can give out, but it will at least be 10. And we have 5 that are automotive and 5 that are like the HVAC,
welding, electrician,
all that. And we guarantee that 3 of the scholarships go to women.
Oh, nice. Okay. Wow, what big moves, man. And you think CRC, right? It's in every shop, every garage. Every single person out there that wrenches or works on cars is going to use a product from CRC. Probably a parts washer, valve cleaners, DI engines. They have a ton of products that just work in a shop, right? And that's what brings these guys in, because they're all familiar with it. Their teams, their crew, they're all familiar with what these guys are bringing into the fold. And with the collaboration like that, all of it benefiting the kids, you see why this is so inspiring, why it's so successful. And your first GTO, so let's talk a little bit about that. You had a great GTO here last year, sold it, got 10 scholarships out of it. But this car, this year, I mean, GTO is nice, but this car is not just a level, it's a ladder. It's an unbelievable build and going to be an unbelievable auction. Tell me a little bit about what you guys built this year.
Well, it's a 1957 Chevy with a late model Hemi in it. It's an Arrington late model Hemi. And we thought that was going to be a cool wow factor, but we took it to the next level and had Mike from Arrington Motors. He did, it's hydrogen powered.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's mind blowing.
It is mind blowing.
But that's what we wanted to do, the wow factor, and get everybody to look at it and go, wow. And then hopefully, you know, they can see where the proceeds are going to go, what the scholarships are for.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's
a great
generated
partnership.
a lot of buzz here.
Yeah, and buzz would be the word, because think about this, all right? Now, he just ran through that like it was nothing, but rarely do you ever see a 57 Chevy with a Gen 3 Hemi in it. Like, that's kind of mind-blowing to begin with. Add on top of it, it's not powered by gas, it's not powered by E85, it's not powered by alcohol, it's powered by hydrogen. So think about where everybody is going in that world, right? The only thing that comes out of that exhaust is water. So shut the front door. That's brand new technology in a car that's never seen. You know, well, think about that technology. This is the first car. Well, you explain it.
Yep.
It's the first car being sold that has this technology in it, right?
Oh, 100%. Mike Copeland is setting on this technology. He figured it out. It's his design. He's the one that made it work. And he has never sold this technology yet. You know, for him, it's been a labor of love, and I got a great story I will tell about it. But when we talked to him last year, the first thing was about the engine. Arrington Performance is known for their Gen 3 Hemis. Yep. He had already built one that me and Jeff put in Dentley, the truck that we debuted with CRC 3 years ago. And so we brought this car up. This idea was born within an hour, I would say, at this show last year.
Really? All right. Whose idea was it to put a Gen 3 Hemi and a 57 Chevy?
So here's how that went. Here's how
Who
that
did
went.
that?
Here's how that went.
Who's getting the blame?
Hemi guy, 57 Chevy guy, they arm wrestled, they rode Shambo, right?
So we were at the Edelbrock booth, and longtime friend Mark Campbell's like, okay, because they were involved heavily with the GTO.
Okay.
And he said, okay, what are we doing? And Raquel and Julie and a few of the girls the previous year had said something about a 57 Chevrolet. And me and him were immediately like, you can't find one
Hard
that's
to find.
not
Yeah.
rotted.
We were thinking way too much work.
Way too
right
much
off the
work.
bat.
Yeah.
We're not body shop guys. We're put engine, make them go
Racers,
fast guys.
man. Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, well, maybe a 57. Mark's like, well, all right, everybody in the world knows Jeff Lutz 457.
Oh, yeah, man.
You make a living with a Hemi.
Yep.
Marry the two. I said, okay, so I pick up the phone. We're still in the booth over there.
That's a weird marriage, man.
Yeah.
That's an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
That normally would be like ruffling some feathers.
Yeah.
And let me tell you,
57.
I was thinking, oh, that's going to be weird.
Yeah.
The 57 Chevy, man, it's like, that's going to be a little weird.
I pick up the phone. I call Mike. I said, hey, can you come over here? I call Raquel. I call Julie from CRC.
Wait, at SEMA?
Right here.
We're right here.
No way.
Right here.
You're
I said, can y'all come over here like fairly quickly?
Wow, okay.
Our whole entire world got flipped upside down in way less than an hour, to be honest with you. However much time it took for them to get from the booth, for Mike Copeland to come from wherever he was, for us all to get in a pile with all the people at Edelbrock and Comp Cams, it happened that fast.
Wow.
It happened.
So you left here, SEMA last year, with that plan in motion, so to speak, right? At least the genesis of it, right? And then how fast did things start popping off, start happening?
That was the problem. Again, we had to find a car.
Right, that's what I'm curious. You had to find a car that you didn't have to do body work on, that wasn't a rust bucket.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do the CRC red as well, so we thought Clay was on it. I mean, I think you were in California looking at it.
I literally, every race I was going, I left here.
Yeah.
Because I race Pomona next week, same as here.
Yeah.
I got on the old marketplace and I found a couple high-end car places that had 57 Chevrolets. And they were high-end for a reason. They got to pay the rent for the buildings they're in.
Yeah.
But I did go and look at a couple, and we were FaceTiming, and both of us like, "Bah, we can't call Raquel and say we want to buy this one."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So you have some of the budget lines here.
Yeah.
Are you like,
Here's the
okay,
budget
guys, all right, when you're thinking of 57 Chevy, so I consider that car the mothership of hot rodding. Have one myself. I just absolutely adore it. That car is timeless. It is. You'll see 57 Chevys in every car
they're
show,
the
every
ultimate
build,
hot rod.
every manifestation,
Yep.
right? Young kids love them. There's been this resurgence of Tri-Fi's. You know, young kids just adore this car. So for you, knowing you got Clay and Jeff here, who tend to maybe shoot high, what are you thinking? And what's you like? Okay, guys, on the budget, let's try to tamper it down a little bit.
Yeah, we thought, man, this idea sounds so incredible. How
But-
are we going to be able to
but I gotta sell a lot of brake clean, a lot of
Yeah, but you know, Clay and Jeff have such great relationships with all their sponsors and other companies, and because of the cause, everybody was willing to pull together and donate their time. So, you know, it was a pretty penny, but not what it could have been, or should have been.
Yeah.
And really, also thanks to Mike Copeland.
Oh, yes.
Who really donated a lot
Yeah.
of his own time.
So many people from mine and Jeff's racing world, they stepped up big. To make this happen.
Yeah.
Because I want to go. I'm sorry. Jeff.
no, go
I
ahead.
want to go back to no hydrogen internal combustion engine car has ever been sold.
Yeah,
Ever.
this is important. Listen, this is what's amazing because a lot of people think hydrogen
interrupting.
power,
They've heard of
right? And they don't quite get it. They've heard rumors and maybe had to tell of some injection of hydrogen, but this car is different because Mike Copeland from Arrington Performance, he's figured out how to burn hydrogen as fuel.
in an internal combustion
in
engine.
an ICE engine. So that is so unique and so different than the hydrogen platforms previously. And Mike's really been a pioneer in that world, and he's got something that I think a lot of people are going to be blown away by. What's wild is it hasn't, you know, you mentioned it, he hasn't sold it. So here's a guy sitting on technology that could possibly, you hate to say it, but change the world. It really could. And it just drops water out of the exhaust pipe, you know, which is kind of mind-blowing. So you got him, he agreed to plug in. You got a few of your other key
we had a lot
players
of
in
our
it,
big
right?
players.
Yes.
You got CRC on board. So what was the first step? How'd you find this car? Where did you find it at? And how was the back and forth with wrestling with the owners or getting it?
I found it.
He found it, and it was in
Kentucky.
Oh, my home state.
It was raining. It was cold. Probably still snow on the ground.
Yeah, it
Pretty damn
was.
near. And he had talked to the people, and we loaded up the rig, put the stacker on, and we here we go. Me and him were on the way to Kentucky, and small road, and we took the big truck, and man, we get it up in there, and we start backing up in this guy's yard, and there was a guy standing there. He's kind of standoffish, staring at me, and we get out. We start looking at the car, and it was pretty badass.
So interesting, you get this combination, right, and this package together, and you guys start building it. Now, obviously, the car is in great shape, doesn't need paint or body work.
None.
Right? You get this car to have a 283 in it, a Vortec. What was it?
It was a
what
Vortec.
Okay, Vortec.
Yep.
700 R4.
Right? Yeah. Pretty common setup in
It
these
was,
cars.
yeah.
Yep. So tell me the evolution. How did it get to where it is now?
So we took the Vortec out, and Clay had got us a
plastic.
a plastic block, a dummy
Okay,
block.
yeah.
because
Mock
the car's-
up.
The car's so nice. Dentley's project, we used a junkyard motor to pull in and out before Mike got the real motor done, and I was like, man, I don't want to do that over this car. You know, it's too
Dentley
nice.
was called Dentley for a reason.
It was already booked up. So that didn't matter. So we had this foam block, and man, we'd throw it in and out, and we set it in there, and I had a bunch of wood, and we're trying to get it in place, and we put the supercharger on that thing, and I went, oh my God. I shot him a picture instantly. I'm like, it's like it's supposed to be in here.
Right?
Yeah, it was
It
just,
does look the part.
It
Yeah.
was crazy. So we started out with a 4L80E, right?
Yep.
That we were going to put in way too big.
Big
Because the
transmission.
700R4 that come out is
Right,
really
right.
small. So we were Andre. TCI. We were Andre out. Man, he's shipping trannies back and forth, Bellhouse, and we finally got one to fit, and it was just amazing. And it just everything was right, you know.
Yeah.
And we were going to build headers for it. We bought a kit to weld it up.
Stainless Works.
And Jeffrey goes, I'm going to order a car header set and a truck set. So we get it up on the lift, and don't you know, it's got one truck header on it and one car header on it. It was like it was meant to be.
Fit perfect.
Isn't that weird?
Fit
And let me
perfect.
guess, which side is the driver's side? Because that's the one that always makes contact on my headers
I don't
for the
know.
57.
Well, yeah.
Because if that's a little 57 hack right there, maybe put a truck header on one side and a car on the other.
Yeah.
It may help a lot of people out. All right, so
If you're going to put a Gen 3 Hemi in.
yes. So fast forward, you get this thing,
Yep.
you're motivated, right? You guys got to be happy. As when you saw the car, were you like, okay, now we have something?
Yep.
As you and your team are hearing about this or seeing the car, you got Mike Copeland involved in it, knowing that he's going to drop this crazy powertrain in there. What is your team thinking? And the CRC guys, knowing, you guys make every product for anything out there. Have you ever made anything for hydrogen?
Not specifically, no, but
That's next.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's the next thing on the list.
Right?
Yeah.
Some hydrogen valve cleaners.
Yeah.
So as your team is watching this, you guys getting excited about where this could go?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything with new technology and innovation is exciting to be a part of.
Oh, most definitely. So you're thinking scholarships, because in the end,
Yeah.
it's all about how much money we can sell this car for, transform that money into scholarships, into trade. So last time you were able to do, I think 10 scholarships with the GTO. This car, well above and beyond that build. So what are you hoping to get out of this car when it rolls across the auction block? And remember, every dime raised goes back to help kids get scholarships, further their education. So great move on your behalf. Where do you see this car coming in at?
Yeah,
We don't know.
I
We really
dare
don't know
not.
because it's like you were talking about getting sponsors and stuff for it. It's an easy sell
Yeah.
when all of the proceeds go back. you
Yeah.
know? And it was an easy sell to Mike.
Yeah.
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 Mike was the one that said, "Oh man, let's do hydrogen."
Mike's a giver. Mike's awesome. Yeah.
It was such a great cause, and it's when you start talking about it to people and they go, "Oh, I want to get involved in that."
I gotta tell this funny story real quick.
Okay.
So, I have two best friends know everything in the world about me. One of them sitting right here. The other one is a guy that we grew up from first grade all the way through. He has got 4 cents of every nickel he's ever made. He's one of those
Okay.
guys, and he doesn't splurge. He just works. He bought the GTO.
Oh, really?
The GTO is sitting back at my house.
What?
And I couldn't believe he spent that kind of money. And I'm like, this is so not you. And he's like, it's for kids.
Wow.
It's for kids.
That's insane. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So you got these crazy cowboys and cars, right? These racers and dudes that just love turning things up and going fast. You have your company, everything that anybody would need for a shop. You got crazy Mike Copeland throwing down the powertrain in his effort. What's the ceiling for this car? When is it going to go? Where do you see this transitioning into, scholarships, and how fast? So give us the next year for this car, where it's going to be, how people see it, and most importantly, how we could drive up that price.
So we're going to have it go on tour next year so that it gets a lot more exposure, get more people interested in bidding on it. I don't even know what it might go for, but we're hoping for well over 100.
Yeah.
And
Where do you guys, Jeff? You're
I hope it
you're a
goes-
57
I hope
fanatic.
it goes through the seal.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like I said, it's for such a great cause. And, if it hit 100, if it hit 500,
Yeah.
we just don't know.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
And the technology is so new, and Mike was so gracious to give us that to auction off. So it's going to be the first
I was going to say
one.
that alone,
It's-
right, is going
Yeah.
to set that price.
So,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be somebody that buys it to drive it. It's
Right.
going to be somebody that puts it in their collection.
Yeah.
So that's the guy we need.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Well, I
being
hope
the
it does,
first
man.
one, being the first one auctioned off, nobody's got it.
Yeah.
The only one that has it's Mike.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so-
yeah.
So, I mean,
It's a wild premise, a wild car, and it's the first for just about everything you see here. First Gen 3 Hemi or 57 probably, let alone hydrogen powered. But really so many groundbreaking things about this car, this platform, and this company. So hats off in what you're doing, how you're pushing it, how you're utilizing your efforts, what you guys bring to the table. It's an unbelievable mechanism. Way cool to cover it. I can't wait to talk to you guys and see where that thing goes and see how many scholarships gets transformed into me and Tom.
we appreciate you.
Amazing.
covering those,
Yeah,
Bob.
man.
Thank you.
And Not not only only
that,
when we talk again, there'll be something else sitting right there because
Yeah.
CRC's already said we're doing it again.
I was gonna say that's gonna be my last question. What is gonna come up? What's the genesis gonna be? All right, is it gonna be in this booth over here? What do you know the next build and the direction you're going, or is it?
We don't.
It's only midweek at SEMA. That will be determined by Friday.
Yeah,
all right?
it will.
And
How do you
yeah.
top that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a hard
that's
one
a
to top,
challenge.
man.
Yeah.
Hard one to top. Well, hey, I can't thank you enough for spending a couple minutes explaining, not just what's happening in this crazy world of hydrogen power, 57s, their resurgence with great guys like you as the architects of it, great people like you helping out. It's a great cohesive way to help people get into trades, to help kids not be strapped with a burden. Let's be honest, colleges, schools is all expensive. This can get them on that career path to just being, think about what you can do with the trades. There's electricity, there's electricians, technicians, welding, HVAC. There's so many avenues. And, hopefully kids listening, parents listening, you don't have to need a 4-year program to get your kid to being successful, being in a career and something they're passionate about. This is a great answer for so many kids out there. They're like, what am I going to do? How can I use these, right, to make my path and my plan? And really, these guys are setting the standard and really thankful for it. So keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Willie B, the Two Guys Garage podcast, live from SEMA 2024. It is the Two Guys Garage podcast. He is Kevin Bird. I am Willie B. And man, what a cool story about a cool car, cool build, and cool people all the way around. Like, wow, what a chance. Think about that, man. You and I, the trades, I started in college because my dad wanted me to be an engineer. He thought that was the path. But really, trades, man, it is such a great route for so many kids and an answer to a question that they've been asking themselves for a long time. So I feel confident that's a great direction for people out there thinking, where's my place and where can I go find it? So yeah, man, loving that path, loving that chance, but what a cool build, huh? Dude, hydrogen is something else. You think this is a wave that's going to catch on?
There's a lot of
wow.
competing what's next, right? I'm just holding my breath. Like, you got the EV thing, you got the hydrogen thing, you got this alt fuel thing. Like, where is it going to be? Or is it some kind of hybrid thing and some combination of all that stuff? Like, whew, stuff's getting complicated, kind of crazy, but there's a lot of opportunity in there somewhere, right?
I was at Bonneville the first year that hydrogen car went over 300 miles an hour. And I watched these guys in the middle of Bonneville just drop like 15 or 20 buckets of ice, ice water, and there's this massive tank that was nothing but the back half of the car. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What is going on here? And they're trying to explain it. They're trying to, go into it, and they're explaining how unsafe it is in some of this transformation, in this, energy transformation. But from what I've seen, that broke a world record that year. It went like 384 on ice water, and everybody at Bonneville was just stunned. We were like, what just happened? What just went down the course? And now to see it in real world application and Arrington Performance, how smart Mike Copeland is. He is the guy that would do it, right. This is going to be interesting, man, because out of the tailpipe, it's water. It's H2O, and people are blown away by it. Yeah.
So
fascinating.
We will see, man. I'm excited about anything that gets out there that's still going fast, right?
No,
and making cool noises.
Yeah, do you feel like it's viable? Like, to me, there's too many other things right now that are a little bit hotter, but do you think it could be a viable source?
Well, quick example, you look at EVs, and let's say they had range all figured out and pricing all figured out? Well, it's infrastructure, right? As soon as people go out there and they can't find a place to charge, it's a no-go. So every, let's say, technology or path has to be kind of, buoyed by what the infrastructure is going to do. So you look at hydrogen, you think, how many hydrogen stations are out there? It's got a challenge very similar to EV on how do I produce it in volume? How do I get it everywhere so that everybody has access to it? But there are some different things in the works. You talked to Mike Copeland, right? There's a lot of drive for hydrogen in terms of like depot stations where you can put a dedicated, hydrogen station and then you can like feed a fleet, so maybe there's enough fleet pull for hydrogen to then kind of spill into the, you and me kind of guy having access to it. So yeah, I think everything has lots of challenges, whether it's technical, price points, what people want, and then of course the infrastructure. So it's got everything we want. It's got cylinders, it's got spark plugs, right? It's got the sounds, it's got the power. So I think it's big hurdle, you mentioned safety. I think the big hurdle was like the tanks and all that kind of stuff. Like how do you store it?
Yeah. That was early on. They figured that out, and now it's compressed down to like a regular-looking engine. It is a regular-looking engine. It runs hydrogen as the fuel. Yep. So, you got to up the injectors and, do all those, all the math. But it's there, it's running, it's powerful, and it sounds like gas. And that for so many people is like wow that they're welcoming. So it's going to be interesting.
That's right. If it's got fire, I'm
all
in.
Right, man. A Builder 57 Chevy. What's the price point? Where you starting?
Since the way you're framing the question, I'm going to throw all the way up into the 40 range.
That's an expensive
Yes,
builder.
it is. But I'm only saying that because you're posing the question that way. So
yeah. And that's a strong answer. You're still shy of what they paid for it.
All right.
Yeah, man. They dropped 60 on this car. That's how clean they thought this car was. That's how much Clay and Jeff were like, this car is the one we need.
Yeah.
The man, the story, the reason behind it was just great. And really, this is a brand new car with the shell of this classic vintage 57 Chevy, but it's wrapped in technology and just an unbelievable ride that you could win. So if you're interested, go to their website, find out more. But it's a really cool, just a whole cool package. The whole thing is it's just cool in every way. All right, so something definitely to check out, as well as SEMA. Now, other highlights for you at SEMA, if we had just a couple minutes to talk about for you, was there a highlight car? Was there another trend or something you witnessed, saw that really kind of blew you away this year? And if so, what was it?
Man, so SEMA is so overwhelming, right? You walk through the door, you dial into something flashy and awesome and cool, and you're like, this is it. And then you turn around and there's like 10,000 more of those. And by the end of it, it's just like a big blur of bright lights and chrome and cool stuff. So I don't know, man. This year I had a quick in and out at SEMA. I got a taste more than I got a big bite. So for me, it was just getting my toe in there and smelling it, feeling it, high-fiving a bunch of great people. What about you? What stood out?
I'm not as fond as he is of smell of hot dogs. However, I thought this year at SEMA, something that was kind of a unique and stand out to me was the number of offerings for carbon fiber bodies and complete builds. There were several places where you can go and get a full-blown carbon fiber Chevelle. The price at $190,000 was base model, came with an LS3 or something like that. The 400 or 500 horsepower, all the way up to a $400,000 offering, right? Which was 1,200 horsepower, full-blown chassis, all the suspension you could handle, wide tires and everything to boot. To really carbon fiber. I saw carbon fiber Chevelle that was just unbelievable. We saw carbon fiber Chargers that were unbelievable. And this thing had 2,500 horsepower crate engine. I think the to-go price or buy it now price was something like, $2.8 million. So you got full-blown carbon fiber cars ranging base model, the cheapest one I could find, $190,000. You're talking a 400 or 500 horsepower LS-based platform, but, decent car, carbon fiber, kind of cool, all the way up to, $2.4 and $2.8 million. but everything's to the hilt, man. Carbon fiber, everything's full-blown interior, as much power as you could ever imagine, all the creature comfort, everything from seat heaters to steering wheel heaters, all wrapped in, fine Corinthian leather. It was sick. Carbon fiber was everywhere this year, and hopefully at some point that just goes to scale and allows you, other people to bang out some carbon fiber, fenders or, parts and pieces.
I was going to say,
carbon fiber's coming.
On the whole car, keep dreaming that you and I can afford one of those. But when you said a fender or, maybe a wing or something, I could do one or two parts. That's another one, man, that the last couple years, like we saw but, over the few years, there's been like onesies, twosies, carbon, like one-offs, and then, somebody's tooling it up to make a run of. And, we're seeing 2 and 3 and, maybe even 4 full-body, production-like carbon builds.
It's amazing.
I wouldn't have thought that a number of years ago just from the price point, but apparently there's some dudes out there making more cash than us, They
just burning money, bro. Just, hey, car industry is like turning money into noise.
That's right.
There you go. That's what car life is like.
I love it.
But wow, is it cool? It's amazing. SEMA is where you see all the new trends, all the crazy things people are doing to people that don't have a budget. They don't know what budgeting is. They just are going for it. I want a trophy. So there you have it. You ever get the opportunity, check it out. Be a part of it. Go out there and get you a whiff and a sniff like Kevin does. You will absolutely love it. All right? All right, so time for us to tag out. Thanks one more time to our great friends at CRC and all the cool things they're doing to just hype up young people in the trade industry, in that trade world. I love it. Big fan of it. Keep on doing it. We definitely appreciate Raquel and the whole team of CRC and Clay and Jeff. It was awesome speaking with them. Austin, back in the podcast game, man. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Thanks to our producer, Scoop, senior producer, Justin Carter, executive producer, Bob Ecker. He is Kevin Bird. I'm Willie B., and this is the Two Guys Garage Podcast. Hey, don't forget about our show. You can find that on the Motor Trend Network, airing weekends. It's also available on Discovery Plus and Max.
All right, don't forget to check out our website, twoguysgarage.com. Share your thoughts with us. We're everywhere on social, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Two Guys Garage and Two Guys Garage Podcast. It is copyrighted 2025, Britain Productions Incorporated, all rights reserved.